Welcome to another Love Tower podcast this week. My name's Jamar. My friend Kelly here. How you doing across the country over there?
Not bad. I'm Middle Earth right now. Middle country. Not fully East Coast, but
Yeah,
we're not too far apart.
yeah. How long is the drive actually?
I mean, we did it once. I drove out there to see you guys. That was like we broke it up, and I think if you shot it straight, it's got to be at least like 32 hours or something.
That's crazy. I think the longest drive I've ever done is from Wisconsin to California. Actually, I think it was like 20
Oh,
something.
damn.
Yeah.
Well, Wisconsin's farther, so then yeah, this can't even be 32. We broke it up, so it felt like it was that long, but
But I mean, it could have been, well, I don't know if it was 32 actual hours, but I know when we did the one from Wisconsin to here, I think, yeah, we didn't make that many stops. Maybe like three sleep sessions we did, and then just kept.
damn, I don't think I could do it. I'd start tapping out after driving after a short period of time, but.
Me too, especially now. That was years ago.
All right. Hey man, what are we getting into?
I don't know. You know what's been on my mind lately is like, the conspiracy theories. Like, so I don't know if you seen the, how do you pronounce it? What is it? The Artemis launch, the one that just happened with the
Oh yeah.
moon thing, but they did it on April 1st, and people were saying online, they were like, come on, man, April Fool, you guys, and I was just like, man, it's kind of interesting because it feeds into like all the conspiracies about, like the moon landing. I mean, you would think when they're planning this, like especially if it's real and they want people to take it seriously, it's like who, like, or are they giving the wink like this shit is all fake? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
I mean, that's a bunch to unpack there in itself. Is the whole that conspiracy is great because I mean you've seen it in the museums, right? The lunar rover and
yeah,
just I mean it's so much of it's so hard to believe that conspiracy is not even that far fetched. For me, it's just kind of like what's
yeah,
the underlying thing? Why did we not return back to the moon and it's been this long?
yeah. Because I mean, I know like people, like I know some people can go like conspiracy crazy and like everything's a conspiracy and stuff like
Right.
that. But I mean, like if you look at history, there are some legitimate conspiracies actually that
Yeah.
that are true. Because I think a lot of people take the angle of like, nah, like people just being like crazy, everything's a conspiracy theory, and then you have the other half of people who think like
Flat
yeah.
Earth and
Yeah.
everything's a conspiracy.
Like literally everything is a conspiracy. Like,
Yeah, I think
but
there's a middle way for sure.
yeah, I mean, like I think, like, why do you think people go to the extremes?
That's a good question. I mean, I think I found myself there, so I can relate to it on a personal level a while back. Where
Yeah,
once you go down the rabbit hole, and it's almost like you want to believe it. It's like
yeah,
I want to believe that aliens are real, so I'll kind of look for evidence to prove my belief right. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of the case. It's more interesting to have all these nuanced beliefs and that everything's kind of deeper than what it is. Maybe at face value. So I think there's that, but it's also just it's like people treating this life as more of like there's a lot more depth to it maybe than what they would
yeah,
normally assume. So people find themselves wanting, especially if you're already conspiracy minded.
yeah,
You've met these people too. We've got a mutual friend. I won't name him, but where it's like his position on one thing, so you can assume his position on everything is gonna be like, you know, 9/11 was an inside job. It's like everything, everything's grouped together. So
Well, but think about it like this though too. It's like if you think about it, maybe have you ever seen Truman Show?
oh yeah,
So it's like maybe people are just sensing, something is wrong with their reality. Like
right.
something's not right. And so maybe the pursuit of a lot of these conspiracy theories is actually the pursuit of like you knowing something is off, but you just can't quite figure out and put your finger on it. So you're searching for what is actually the problem. It's kind of like, have you ever seen the scene in The Matrix where she says to Neo, she's like, you've always been searching. You
Mhm.
felt something. Trinity says it to Neo. She's like, you felt something was off your whole life. You always been searching.
Right.
And like, when she's saying that to him, he's just like, yeah, this is it right here. I finally
Sure.
found it. So it's like, I think in a certain sense, like even myself, I think like you, like I also went down a lot of conspiracy holes just to see, especially during the time of my life when I was trying to discover like, the truth or where I thought the truth was.
For sure. I think that that puts it in a good nutshell. Is once you kind of open it and you can accept the notion that there's more to reality than what meets the eye, and that you
Yeah.
kind of entertain the idea, like, man, this stuff, what's actually taking place might be stranger than fiction. It might not be what we're being told it is. And then you can kind of run off the deep end with it and feel like everything is an inside job. Everything's way deeper, but there's for sure a middle way. If there's anything that I've learned, jumping down those rabbit holes quite a bit, is like, I think there's a component to it that is deliberately disinformative. That
Mm.
and like this came out actually in the Epstein files. Is Ghislaine Maxwell was a part of curating that 4chan community called Poll, which started off as like that. They kind of, my understanding of it was that they were putting out a crazy amount of conspiracies in that 4chan, and some of them were just wacky, like out there,
What?
like flat Earth related stuff, inner Earth lizard beings, and just everything in that kind of nature going out. And it's like, why
Yeah.
would a woman like that have an interest, in pushing out such wild narratives? My conspiracy on this conspiracy is that we've there's other agents at work that are deliberately making even more ridiculous conspiracies to kind of wash out the ones that are likely true.
Damn, I didn't know that actually about
Uh,
the thing. Wow.
right. Why would a woman like that be entertaining, these dark corners of the web of people speculating and getting conspiratorial and stuff? It's like,
Yeah,
obviously there's something there. So I don't know. Do with what you want with that information, but I think that
yeah.
points to that. You know what I mean?
That's a trip, bro. That's a trip. I mean, I kind of believe that too. It's like I've heard that in a lot of the. I didn't know that about the Epstein stuff and her, but I've heard that in the UFO conspiracies that there's a lot of misinformation agents. So
Right.
they purposely put out misinformation just to kind of throw people off, the
Right.
trail. And then it's like a kind of thing in the whole UFO community about, oh, this person is actually a misinformation agent. Don't listen to them, or it's rumors like that going around. And I think some people have even been kind of like proven to be kind of like misinformation agents. They're purposely
Right.
just putting out just random information for people.
I mean, I think in any field you'll have bad actors, and like people that are kind of coercing things, right? You see even with like big riots, with the say the last BLM riots that took place, the whole thing of like, why was there pallets of bricks that were dropped off on corners, like, and the whole George Soros thing tied to it. Like, you have controlled, it looks like a grassroots thing, but it's massive organizations that have a vested interest in basically creating controversy, or thwarting whatever their agenda is, stuff like
Yeah,
that. So I
that's
think something to look for as someone who may be conspiratorial minded is to just keep that in mind, that there is for sure people that are trying to divert you to fall down other rabbit holes,
yeah,
because then it's, especially if they're crazy ones, you find yourself down something that's just you want to blame the Jews on everything, and that's kind of where it ends, is like, all right, like, that's one way
yeah.
to fall into something
Uh,
without fully understanding, what I mean, the true scope of stuff.
Man, that's wild. I mean, that's wild that you bring that up. It's like there's so much. misinformation out there, especially now. It's like you're oversaturated with information. I
Right.
think like back in the day too, when maybe, I guess like in the beginning, it wasn't as much information that was even out there, but as like social media has expanded over time, there's so many more channels, so many more information streams. It's literally like overkill now. Like it's
Big time.
overkill. So you think about it too, like I'm thinking about it as you're speaking, is like over time I think I've seen like more extremeness, like and just more just crazy like stuff all over the place. Where it's just
Exactly.
like you go on any social media site and it's just like you're gonna see some wild stuff, bro. And now with the AI videos, it's even crazier.
It's hard to discern where it's crazy that we're in this time that it's really difficult now more than ever in this age of information and age of connection, call it if you will, that it's hard to discern what's true and what's not because everything's kind of angled one way or another. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, and yeah, we're on top of like bad actors and people that kind of want to steer the narrative towards something else or shift the attention. It's kind of what we mentioned before is our attention on like a mass scale really does have a huge impact. And
yeah,
narrative wise, there's obviously people with vested interests in controlling what is the narrative in the United States, you know?
yeah. I mean, dude, you think about it, I wonder if you think about it is the control over people's perception of reality. It's like, because if you can kind of start blurring the lines between what people really understand is real, or you even look at it in terms of politics, it's like a lot of the perception between like different sides of different beliefs, like there is no even understanding of what the truth is or an interpretation of even events that happen. It's like you can see both sides have such extreme differently interpretations of it that they're nowhere even near each other anymore. It's like they're looking at two completely different themes.
100%. I think conspiracies can be, and now I think people realize it too. It's a market. It's almost become entertainment, and
Mm,
we're in such a short attention span. Vast majority of people, news cycles constantly flashing that the idea of different conspiracies has become like a new industry of entertainment. You know what I mean?
yeah,
What would you say is what's your favorite juiciest conspiracy? Something that really
favorite.
gets you thinking. Not even necessarily you believe it 100%, but that
Yeah.
it's a good one. Gets people.
I think it's changed over time. Like I used to like one used to be Illuminati for sure. Then two, I would say aliens. Three, I would say the moon landing. That was, that was definitely. I think the first time I started to question the moon landing was when I seen. I think I was at the Science Museum in Chicago, Illinois. They have a huge science museum over there, and they had I don't know, was it a museum somewhere else? I might be confusing museums, but it was a large life size replica of the lunar lander. And so, man, I seen it in person and I was just like, bro, there's no way this thing. I was like, there's no way this thing landed on the moon, bro. This thing looks like some stuff that I could make in my backyard or something like that. Like this thing went through space, landed on the moon. I was just like, like
Yeah,
seeing it on video and like seeing a life size like version of it in person was just like two completely different things. Like when I seen that, I was just like, dude, there's no way this thing landed on the moon. How is
right.
this possible?
Yeah, the moon landing one is for sure interesting. But I mean, it's a good example too of how far it's gone. Where it's like the first step is to basically question the moon landing, and now you look at the conspiracies that are out there, and it's so wild. It's
Yeah,
gotten the moon is basically a satellite that's hollow. They even did this test. One of my favorite moon ones is that I think it was in the '60s.
yeah,
It was either the Soviet Union, someone from Earth, some organization shot a missile at the moon, just to test its like density to see kind of how thick it was. We didn't know what the density of the moon was at the time. So when they hit it, the statement that came out in this article from this official study, you can look it up, it says it rang like a bell for hours. So that got
That's
people
crazy.
speculating. They're like, is it hollow? Why would the moon reverberate like a bell? You know what I mean?
That's
So
so crazy.
conspiracy theorists ran with that, and for me, I like to stay in the middle of like I don't have a hard set belief on it, but I like
Yeah,
entertaining that. Who knows? But what's
yeah,
possible there with the moon? We don't have so much. Why have we not visited this planet since we first allegedly went there? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I mean, and
Well,
then you, like I said, is you see stuff like where they do these launches on April Fools, and it's almost like they're giving you the wink, wink, like, bro, this
hey,
is fake, bro. It's
there's a lot to
wild.
there's a lot to unpack with just NASA in general and what
Yeah,
these conspiracy theorists put out there with the logo, and somehow Freemasons got tied into it. I don't know if you've heard that one, that like all of
yeah.
the original astronauts. So it just gets crazy. But I asked because one that I think you've heard of this movement too, of what kind of pushed more of this like sovereign citizenship movement of people that claim they're
Mm,
sovereign citizens. A
yeah,
lot of it stems from the idea that in like the was it early 30s, 1930s or so, back in the gold standard era, that the United States basically went bankrupt, and that's the reason why we have birth certificates, social security numbers, everything that's tied to you as who you are in the system is like a
yeah.
straw man that the government created because you're basically an asset now. That's
I
where
think I heard this before. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that one I find really interesting because some of it you can't deny, the factuality of it. It's like how far can you get in life without a social security number or a
Yeah,
credit score, or if you don't have your birth certificate, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So some of those, when you look at like what are you essentially as an individual versus what are you in the system, you know
yeah.
what I mean? And
You
birth
know,
certificates are weird by themselves because when a ship docks onto our coast in the United States, they get a birth certificate because
the shit.
they technically birthed. Yeah, so there's a birthing certificate given to ships when they dock into the country.
That's crazy.
It
I've
was
heard too. It's like even a corporation is kind of considered like an entity, like a person actually. Like it has like almost rights of its own. And I was like, damn, that's interesting. So that would go in line with like even people, like it's seen as like a commodity. Like each
right.
thing is a commodity. That's wild.
That's a trip, man. I don't know. Trying to see who this is. Who's 319 original? It looks like my boy James.
Oh, what up? What up?
That's cool, man. It could be
But yeah,
totally wrong. Just trying to go off the photo, but yeah, that conspiracy in and of itself is a good one because you look at it, dude. It's like all of your legal documents, everything's written in full caps. You know what I mean? So the idea
mm,
that they separate it from is like you as a real individual or a lowercase person, every legal document that your name's tied to, whether it's a bank record, your social security, your birth certificate, your license, everything is in full caps. So it's a way that they distinguish between the two. Same reason that when you get pulled over by a cop, the only way to deal in legalese is the first thing they ask you for is give me your license. And that's why you're
oh,
basically
yeah.
giving over, like I'm basically a representative for my legal self. Who is this? Which is a trip.
Think about it. I mean, dude, this kind of also feeds into the narrative of, each person is, I guess, in a different way, like in the Matrix, where each person is kind of built into the system to be basically that they feed the system somehow, whether the government makes you, an asset for the government. And, I've even heard it described as like your time. So why do, we get paid in like hourly wage, or, 9 to 5 workers get paid in hourly wage? It's almost to keep you a slave of the system and to take the time. So all your time's taken up and you're getting paid this hourly wage for your time, but that takes they're basically breaking your lifetime down into incremental payment.
Interesting. Never heard that one, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Time in and of itself is a good one. Why we have 24 hours in a day, why there's 12 months in a year,
yeah,
all how it's structured is pretty crazy.
that is actually so.
What do you think in terms of matters of conspiracies regarding love? Call it a conspiracy, but what do
Mm.
you think the grand or the least? What's something that's not talked about with the emotion of love that should be discussed more in and of that it's basically a hack in itself?
I mean, I think right now it's like I've talked to some people, especially I would say in the West. I would think that we are kind of naturally pulled out of that, actually, where it's like you're in such a hustle mentality that the whole like love thing is kind of like pushed out. Like I've even talked to people, a friend of mine, he said he was in kind of like an emotional place where he kind of thought just from trauma that he had and just his way of thinking, and I think just growing up in the West, he thought love doesn't really matter. Like it's just like fairy tale stuff actually. And so I think in a sense, like we're kind of we're being programmed to kind of block that emotion out, or it's whether it's through trauma, whether it's through just like the hustle culture. Like if you think about it, it's like in most corporate or business settings, especially in the West, like there's really no room for compassion in a lot of like business, especially in the West. I mean, I see some businesses that are trying to incorporate that, but that's a lot of those are few and far between.
For sure. And sometimes it's just like a PR thing, right? You know what I mean? It's like even the idea of being compassionate and loving or philanthropic in some kind of way in your business ventures is usually just unfortunately implemented in some kind of way for good publicity. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? The genuine component may be missing. But yeah, I think that's a maybe a little bit distant from conspiracies, but there's something there. I think you're onto it. Is being in that loving state. And I think since being a part of this organization and getting closer to you guys and understanding why now more than ever there should be more of an emphasis on this is because of that. It's like there's such a lack of understanding. When people think of love, they think of just romantic love or
yeah.
some cartoon fetishized like Disney love, like, you know what I mean? It's such an abstract concept, yet it's so simple. It's
Like
weird.
you think about it right now, it's like that's one of the things that I think separates, humans from machine. Like you think about machines can almost replicate basically everything a human can do. It can replicate our art, our music, our writing, like very close to it. Maybe not exactly, but very close to it. But one thing it can't replicate is love. Yeah. But I think that's one of the things that makes us human. It's like I think like especially for humanity, like we'll quickly move either in one of two directions, like either one of like technology and very logical, like scientific type thinking. Like we're already moving in that direction. Like even in business and corporate life, especially in the West, like it's already like cutting. Like there is, like I was talking to someone and we were talking about like the difference between business in the United States and like countries like Eastern countries like Japan, and the type of style that they govern with, and especially in business, is completely different. Like they're more over there in the East, they're more compassionate. They care more about the workers. It's a whole different culture. Where it's here, we're just it feels in a lot of ways that it's business first, people second.
For
If
sure.
it's not about the profit or not about the overall profits of the corporation, then be done with with the people. Like you
That's
see videos online where people have been working for corporations for 20 years and just get laid off because they're automating.
right. Yeah, I mean, I have personal accounts of friends like that. I have a good friend's mother of mine who worked at this hotel for 20 some odd years and like literally just let go of or retires, and they gave her legitimately like a lunchbox or some like really measly gift, a candle. And it was just like, you know what I mean? When things get so corporate like that, it's crazy. Yeah, the structuring is totally different seeing, and that's a good point. I mean, bottom line, man, is like, what else, what other force is there in the world that's stronger than love? When you have something that can start and end wars, you know what I mean? The like the true nature of what love is and what it drives people to do, you
Yeah,
know? You could say that some of the greatest dictators in history did what they did out of love for their country. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It could be framed in so many different ways, but I think that's a different understanding or a way to look at why people do what they do.
yeah, exactly, exactly. It is the thing that transcends, it could end wars, it could start wars, it could do many things.
It's the
But it is
transport vessel, but you really can't think of anything stronger that compels people more to do anything. I mean, we were talking about in our last podcast is like whether, men want to admit it or not, a big driving force behind their actions throughout their lives is women.
yeah,
Right.
that's true, that's true.
And so that's the love for that or the potential love or something, that underlying thing that everyone at the end of the day, not only do they want it, but like it's built hard coded into us. We basically need it. If you don't show a baby love for a short period of time from when it's born, like some wild things can happen. If you don't expose a newborn baby to light for, I don't remember what the amount of time is, like it'll lose its ability to see. It'll literally go blind.
Yeah. I've actually heard a study where they did something like that with children, where I forgot, there was like two groups of children. One of the groups was given like a lot of love. The other group wasn't as loved, but they found that those children were shorter, they weren't as healthy. Like
And
so love does so much, like the power of it does so much for us. I think, it's a lot of it is even undiscovered by science, maybe.
imagine you're that kid and you grow up with all these issues, and you're like, yeah, you were actually a part of you were a subject in a study that didn't receive love as a child because we wanted to see what would happen to her.
There's even one that I heard with twins actually, where like the household that they grew up in was like different style households. One was more loving, the other was a little bit more harsh kind of style of parenting, and the
Right.
differences that they observed over time. So yeah, there's been a lot of weird studies that's been going on. So that's wild.
It's interesting, man. Even when you look in the ways of how we love each other, whether as a friend or romantically or as a parent to its child, like everyone's idea of what love is kind of stems from them. Sometimes you see parents that they love their children, but they just want to like be friends with their son or daughter. And it's like that kind of love maybe isn't as effective as being a parent that like the same way as you would with if you're a good friend to someone, you should call them out on their things, you know what I mean? Be there to discipline them, say like, "Hey, you're slipping," you know.
Tough love.
Yeah, tough love is kind of its own version of love versus like the gentle parenting thing as a version of love is like maybe
Yeah,
not that effective. You see the results of it. You know what I mean? You know,
yeah, yeah. I think, because I think there is a such thing as like tough love. It's like, because in a sense, maybe sometimes it's a little bit more selfless. In a sense, you're to kind of give your child tough love, it's gonna hurt you in a way because you have to be hard on them. But at the same time, you're doing it not to be like liked or
right,
necessarily loved by them, but for the greater good for them.
right. I would argue it's more selfless and maybe more honorable to show tough love as a parent than it is to be when it's like you're just trying to be the cool mom or whatever and you let your kid party at your house and like do what they want, like that's not really love. That's just like you wanting a new friend who's your child. Like I don't know. And
Uh,
just side diversion, I digress, but I think you see these different versions of love, and even in styles of relationship, sometimes people care so much for their partner that they're hyper jealous and they're over fixated on them and they want to read their texts, you know. And it's
Yeah,
like they love them, but they're doing it in such a, call it, perverted way that it's like, you know,
yeah,
it's just interesting from that bigger step back and seeing the scope of how people love, and
yeah,
whether it's love for your partner, love for your country, love for whatever. It's so complex in a weird way, and it's such a simple thing.
exactly. Exactly. And it's like going back to the conspiracy, like I do think that I mean that is a conspiracy. I mean it's a conspiracy on multiple levels. It's like it's a conspiracy to block us, you know, as humans from connecting with each other on a deeper level. It's a conspiracy for us to block us from the truth. It's a conspiracy to block us from love, like the one thing that, you know, really connects us actually.
But
You know,
I mean,
all the confusion.
and isn't it ironic that in the time we're in, it's like now more than ever, people are more connected than they've ever been. And yet there's the highest rates of depression, suicide, you know, people confused on their genders, just
Yeah,
everything's kind of extrapolate, getting crazier and crazier. And you would think we're more connected than ever. Surely that love component should be there, but it's weird. It's almost doing the opposite, you
yeah,
know, or worse, it's we're being told to love yourself first, kind of thing. That whole message
yeah,
is
yeah.
where that gets a little astray. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. I've seen a lot of that. It's like the which I mean I think there is a place for like obviously self-love, like you need
yeah,
to
I'm
take
not
care of
fully
yourself.
dismissing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
But
just gotten taken a little far in certain camps or certain, you know, thought camps. But for sure, you should love yourself. But when you're hyper fixated on just yourself, you see it with both men and women. It's just taken too far, and it's like become some microcosm of what we are in this country, which is hyper fixated on, you know, what's in it for me. It's that mentality that I think is destroying what true love should be, which is connection with others. Not just, you can't just connect with yourself and be happy or
yeah,
work.
that's true. That's true. Because I think if you think about it, like for me, I think for a lot of people, it's I don't know about everyone, but I think for myself, you know, when I have the most drive, it's not when I'm necessarily like pushing towards something for myself. It's usually, you know, out of the love that I have for someone else that would drive me a little bit more than something for
That's a good point.
self-interest, I think.
For sure. That's a great point.
Yeah, I think have you ever heard those stories where you have like moms picking up cars like off their
Right.
kids?
It's like what are supernatural abilities when
Yeah.
you're in that state that you have such high compassion, care, love, genuine love for someone that you're basically bulletproof.
Like there's a saying that I like, the universe will never reveal its secrets to a dark heart.
Right.
Like, over time, like I think because I practice like meditation over years, part of the practice I do is like the loving, like a heart meditation. And so I think over time, for myself, I've come to the understanding is that the love is such a powerful and key component to not just like the world, but the universe itself, existence itself.
Big
But
time.
a lot of it is like you can only see it through like very deep introspection. Like it's not there to I mean it is there on the surface, but it's also very hidden. It's like it's very subtle.
Oh, I see exactly what you're saying. Yeah, everyone kind of has their own idea of what love is, but when you can take it, you know, and be real with yourself, and I mean, but to put it the simplest way, man, I've never had a deeper, more introspective session in my life than when doing these music enhanced heart meditations that you've
Uh,
guided.
yeah,
That opened my eyes to not only the power of music, you know, especially certain frequencies of music, but having that guided component of someone walking you through a loving memory. And when you get into that state, it's like, it's the deepest introspection I've had because it showed me kind of my priorities of like, wow, like when I channel that, I can go so still and so calm in myself that I feel
yeah,
like, you know. call that a conspiracy, if you will. But I think that's something that should be broadcasted more, of being in a loving state and trying to hold that.
Yeah.
You can't even describe it.
Yeah, it's powerful. You think about it, it's like everything is trying to pull you from that state. Like everything that's happening, all the chaos and the world today, it's literally just pulling you from that loving or peaceful state. And so really getting to a place. That's why meditation, like I always tell people, like meditation is so important, is because it's especially now with like so many news streams, so many information streams, it's so much propaganda, you could almost say, is coming at us every day.
Uh,
It's like you need the meditation or you need some kind of foundational practice where it's aligning you with the truth. Like
mhm.
the from the practices, like I've been meditating for 20 years. From the practices that I've done, it's like the like especially the loving practice. Like one of the things that I feel when I'm deep in the at the heart center is I always say there's a saying that I say in the meditation, you probably remember, but I say the only truth is love. Everything else is a lie.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you're really in that state, you can really feel the truth of that actually. Like I even tell people love is is kind of an inadequate word for love. Like I actually believe like when you really practice the heart practices, the true like a better definition for love is truth. It's
I
like when you're deep at the heart center, like people call it the sacred heart, you can feel that everything that you're experiencing like is a lie. Like it's all a lie. It's all a distraction. Like the only truth is love. Like you could feel this in a moment. Let's say for example, like if someone you really care about is in danger, all of a sudden everything, all the bullshit that you were worried about doesn't matter to you.
I
Now, very quickly, your like what really matters to you comes in high resolution in that moment. Like, and you don't care about anything else. You don't care about the arguments you had last night. You don't care about any of this other stuff. Like, very quickly, you're very focused on what truly, truly matters. But you think about it, how often are you actually in that state?
exactly. That's a great analogy. I mean, that's a perfect way to frame it too, is because most people can relate to that as well. Is like you're in such a distracted state. We're constantly getting pulled into different things. Like you said, even the foundations of capitalism and how it works in our system isn't love focused. It's not really focused at all on like compassion or kindness or anything in that realm, right? It's more so like how do we it's business, right?
Yeah.
So and most people are so in their business, whether it's their personal or they're an employee somewhere, and they're
Mm.
stressed out from that, the only real sense of love I think the masses are getting on a day to day is maybe with their friend groups, but more so if they have a romantic partner in their life or their family.
Yeah.
And but what you can relate to is when something hits the fan and it's about someone you genuinely love and care about, it like everything clears and it's like, well, what's going on? You can get
Yeah.
in such a hyper focused state when the well being of a loved one of yours is in danger. That's all you can think of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like and the capabilities, like we were just saying, like the human capability when you are in a place of love, like your capabilities are expanded. That's why a mother can lift a car off of her
Right.
child. It's like even your physical limits, things that you think are not possible become possible. There's a book that Shun introduced me to. I think it's Liquid Gold or Liquid Love or something like that. And the guy tells these stories about, people in loving states and how they manifest all these like, crazy things, lottery wins and all these crazy things. Like wrong. There's a lot of things that I've experienced in the practice of doing loving meditations that I don't even tell people in public because it's so crazy that people will be like, "What?" But that's why I be like like the secret, the true secret of the universe, like the universe will not allow its secrets to a dark heart.
Right.
for you to even access certain information in the universe, there is kind of a universal intelligence that guards those
Yeah,
secrets.
it's a barrier to entry.
Yeah, it's a barrier to entry. Like it is testing the quality of the heart.
Makes sense. If we're here for anything, the ultimate conspiracy and is the main question most people drive is like, what are we doing here? What's our purpose? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I would argue it's basically that is to learn to be more loving. That's the
uh,
ultimate test. You're going to be
uh,
thrown all these curveballs of what, things to distract you, business ventures, family troubles, relationship issues. But at the core of it is like, how long and consistent can you stay in a loving state and be more of service to others than you are of service to self?
exactly. You
All right.
summed it up perfectly, my friend.
Liquid Love by Joe Gallenberger. That's a good one. Good piece
Oh
of.
yeah, that's the book. Yeah, that's the book. Yep. Liquid Love. Yep. That's the one. Thank you,
Love.
actually. Liquid Love. But yeah, that was always good talking to you, brother. Kelly, we will be doing these live podcasts every Wednesday, same time. We'll also be doing some on 6 or no 11 a.m. on Sundays as well. Click the link in the bio for you guys who are in the Los Angeles area. We also do events, some live meditations, some of the meditations that we talked about tonight, some of the heart guided meditations as well. If you guys want to join us, we'll also do some online. I think twice a month actually. Some of the online meditation.
Stoked, man. I look forward to this every week. I love how where we can end up.
Yeah,
Just starting with the general idea, and then we can get into some good stuff.
yeah.
Always a
Good
good.
talking to you, brother. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you all. Love you, man.
Love
See
you
you
guys.
soon.
Bye.